Hey everyone, and welcome to Games Are Fun. In today's video, I'm highlighting 3 amazing games that I highly recommend to play on the Nintendo Switch. These games are well received by their respective communities, but I wanted to take the time to put them under the spotlight. With so many games available for download on the Nintendo eShop, I wanted to give my recommendations on some games that may have been overlooked. The first game I wanted to talk about is Bloodstained: Curse of the Moon, developed by Inti Creates. Bloodstained: Curse of the Moon was developed as a companion game for the upcoming Bloodstained Ritual of the Night and was released as the result of reaching a backer goal on Kickstarter. The Bloodstained games come from Koji Igarashi, who was a longtime producer on the Castlevania series. Curse of the Moon is an 8-bit style game that closely matches, if not replicates, the gameplay and style of the older Castlevania games. The game presents you with the task of killing various demons in a variety of environments. Within these environments, there are different paths you can take, so I found myself replaying certain stages to explore secret locations. One of the coolest features in the game is the opportunity to play as 4 different characters. Initially, you start as the character Zangetsu. As you progress through the game, you can unlock characters Miriam, Alfred, and Gebel. All 4 of the characters have their own abilities that can assist in taking down specific enemies. In addition to fighting a variety of monsters, each stage leaves you with the obstacle of taking on a unique boss at the very end of the stage. And if you're like me and struggle with games in this genre, there is a choice to change the difficulty between casual and veteran. In casual, you have infinite lives to help you progress through the different stages in the game. If you're a fan of the Castlevania series, you've probably already checked out Bloodstained: Curse of the Moon, but I highly recommend this game to anyone who may be a fan of 2D side-scrolling platforming games. The second game on my list is THQ Nordic's This Is the Police. I would describe This Is the Police as a police management simulation that gives you the control of managing a police department. You play as Police Chief Jack Boyd, and Boyd is forced into retirement. During the game, you play out the last 180 days of his employment. The gameplay consists of managing different teams of officers and sending them on a variety of emergency and complaint calls. The difficulty comes in when you have a large number of calls coming in at the same time. You have to manage your resources carefully in order to prevent negative outcomes. For example, during my playthrough, there were times where all my active officers were stuck attending one call. As other calls came in, there were no officers to send, and this left people getting killed, thieves escaping, and more importantly, old ladies having to deal with the noise of their neighbors. Also, if officers are stuck in a situation where backup is not available, it can leave the attending officers vulnerable, and sometimes that results in their death. The game is more than just a management simulation. As mentioned earlier, you play as Jack Boyd, and you get to see his story unfold as he deals with the mayor and crime lords inside the city. Throughout the game, there are some story options that leave you with the choice of doing things by the book or taking the path of corruption. A nice touch to the game is the soundtrack. You unlock different vinyl records that you can choose to play while you're managing your department, and this makes the gameplay quite relaxing. If you find that you enjoyed This Is the Police, well, you're in luck because there is a sequel that just got released. I haven't checked it out myself, but I'm eager to get in. If it's anything like This Is the Police, and a continuation of that story, then I'm definitely on board. The last game on my list is Night in the Woods. In this game featuring humanoid animal characters, you play as a cat named May. May has dropped out of college and has returned to her small town of Possum Springs. The game can be put in the genre of walking simulator, but there are some small amounts of puzzle solving and platforming. What makes Night in the Woods such a great game is its immense storytelling. May struggles with discovering who she is and is given the burden of growing up. Since returning home, she is often faced with judgment from characters around her. May reconnects with some of her old friends from school, and it's these relationships that I found to be my favorite part of the game. They feel real and they feel full of emotion. Most games struggle with creating dynamic characters, but in Night in the Woods, each character has depth and layers that build up their personalities. Without giving away spoilers, you start to discover a mystery that seems to be buried underneath the town of Possum Springs. Night in the Woods shares the idea that small towns have their dark secrets and not every neighborhood is friendly. Night in the Woods does an excellent job at telling a captivating story, and I was impressed on how the developers were able to make me feel connected with May and her friends. I often found myself relating to them on many levels and sympathizing with the issues they faced. The dialogue was written with humor in mind, which gave it a more realistic tone that never felt forced. If any of the things I mentioned intrigue you, then I highly recommend giving Night in the Woods a shot. It has easily been one of the best games I have played on the Nintendo Switch, and it definitely makes the list as one of the best games I've ever played. So that concludes my list of 3 Nintendo Switch games you should check out. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe to my channel to see more video game themed videos. If you want to know more about my thoughts on video games, listen to my weekly video game podcast, Games Are Fun. It airs every Tuesday on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and CastBox. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you guys in the next video.